I've been doing a lot of videos about making myself healthy again. And I start out all of them out this way, saying that what I've found and what I believe would work for anyone. I was morbidly obese for most of my life. In fact, in high school, they used to call me Bacon on the high school football team. Anyway, I wish I knew then what I know now. But what I've found out in general, I used to trust the healthcare system and I used to trust my doctors. And I don't think they do this on purpose. I think they're good people, but they've been giving me bad information. They've been lying to me. And, I was on multiple drugs, high blood pressure, statins, everything. And then the last time, and that broke the camel back, my back was, went in and my A1C was high, so I was put on metformin and told I was basically type 2 diabetic, and that's just the way it's going to be. Well, I wouldn't accept it. So I said, no, I'm going to find out more about this. So I did some research, and then I found out that, for instance, cholesterol doesn't tell the whole story, and there's more in this video about it. But I started checking on things and found out what I was hearing from my doctors and what they gave me on blood tests didn't tell me squat, didn't tell me anything about my health or any of it. And I come to find out that a lot of my ailments, all of my ailments, could be corrected by eating right, fasting and eating real food, getting away from the center part of the grocery store, eating real, as organic as I can get, as close to the farm as I can get, food. And then combine that with some intermittent fasting and every once in a while a long fast. Well, fast forwarding, this video is about my conversation with the CEO and co-founder of Levels. It's a company that focuses on health. And it's teamed up with a lot of these doctors that I've been attending online lectures with, reading their books, etc. And they all say the same thing. Chronic disease, all chronic disease comes from inflammation. And all inflammation comes from what we eat, how often we eat it. And ultra-processed foods and seed oils. There's a whole laundry list of stuff or crap we're putting in our body and screwing it up. And a lot of these things with losing weight it's a simple change of diet. You don't have to starve yourself. Well, anyway, this video is my conversation with the CEO of Levels, and we cover some of these issues. And there's a little bit about, doctors lying to you, and you are responsible for your health. You're the one that's responsible for your health. So make yourself healthy again, my-ha. Like, the whole thing around now is make America healthy again, but you have to make yourself healthy again. And I'm not just talking about physically, I'm talking about the whole package, emotionally, spiritually. In fact, I found you have to start with the spiritual side first and involve God in everything you do, even when you're looking at these healthcare issues and faced with decisions on your own and diagnosing yourself and taking the lead in your own healthcare. So I hope you enjoy it. And I've already talked too much. So this is the interview and a little bit of information about doctors admitting that they've been lying all along. So thank you. Enjoy it.
And looking at the research, and I began to understand that what I'd been told was incorrect, and what I had been teaching, there were some errors in it, and what some of my colleagues are still teaching, there are errors in, and that inspired me to write this book, which is Lies I Taught in Medical
They
School.
show up. I think we'll start with just like basic intros. Let's maybe go with your name, where you are, and the last book you read. Um,
Oh,
Although in my case, I'd probably say what I do at Levels. So I'm Sam. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Levels. The
oh,
last book I read was Peopleware, which is a book on managing people and software teams based in
oh.
Austin. Yeah, those are cover the basis for me.
The one I'm reading right now is Return of the God Hypothesis.
Hmm, I know that
Ah.
one.
Yeah, Stephen Meyer,
Hmm.
PhD,
Oh wow, this is a popular book.
yeah, by Stephen Meyer. It's
Hmm.
it's the whole thing about creation versus materialism, all that kind of
Hmm.
heavy duty stuff. Young, expanding universe, not, and all of this
Hmm.
physics and astrophysics and DNA, all this stuff. Intelligent
Hmm.
design. So that's what I'm reading now.
That's cool.
That's
Hmm.
interesting.
Cool person. So I'm always watching video and stuff like that, attending
Yeah,
lectures online. Especially about all of this
yeah,
metabolic health. So
for
anyway,
sure. I think on that topic, the I'd love to learn a little bit more about your experience so far and what inspired you to get started with Levels and
sure.
kind of open-ended.
I've got
Start with
my
you, Jim.
PDN
Yeah,
right here. It's
cool.
right on. Um,
Yeah.
well, okay. Last June, I get a call. I'm a vet. I'm a disabled vet, but
Hmm.
barely disabled. Okay. So I don't even like calling myself that. So, but the VA called and said, "Hey, Jim, we haven't seen you in a while. Get your butt down here." And I went down there and he said, "When's the last time you had a stress test?" And I went, probably when I was 40, like 35
Mm.
years ago. So I'm 75. So I did the stress test. There was a couple abnormalities, they said, so we went
Hmm.
and before that, I had already, and it wasn't anything serious, it turned out. I have a CAC score. I wound up getting that done at 70, I think is the number. It's not zero, but it's
Hmm.
whatever,
Yeah.
70, which isn't alarming. It can be turned around. But
Right.
before that, I've had this ongoing, it's a little hospital here in the town of Bottineau, about 14 miles south of the Lake Metagoshi. And with these doctors, and I said, they kept saying, "No, you and put you on statin." I said, "I'm not going on statin. The last time I did that, it killed me. I'm not going to do it." And they said, "Well, you have to." I said, "Well, I've been reading, and that total cholesterol doesn't tell you crap, doctor. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
say, but I'd like to have a particle size test, a bigger lipid panel done, and they wouldn't give it to me. They
Mm.
wouldn't, they wouldn't let me have that. And since
Yeah.
that time at this little hospital, and VA wouldn't do it either, wouldn't prescribe particle size testing. And so the more I read and about inflammation and all these blood tests, HOMA IR, high reactive C protein,
Hmm.
all
C
this
reactive
stuff.
protein. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
None of them would write me up to take that blood test. And you can't
Yeah.
get it around here unless it's frustrating because it almost sounds like I live in a communist country or something, because I should be
Yeah.
able to, this is my own little, I'm sorry about the little rant, but a person
Yeah.
should be able, if they want to know what their health is, and there's a blood test or any kind of test, and if you have the money and you're going to want to go, you should be able to buy any blood test you want. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't get the harm in that, or why that would be that way. So
Just really quick. Oh, Sam, you guys don't test for particle size, right?
I think in our normal metabolic panel, we do ApoB. I don't
You
think
do
we do particle
ApoB.
size.
Yeah,
Yep.
you don't do particle size, but also I don't know if it's
Yeah.
available up there in Canada, but if you want to pay out of pocket, there's something called Function Health, and they do like 100 different tests, and
I
they
just did
test
that.
for particle size. Yeah.
Mm.
I just
Yeah.
did it. Yeah. And it's, but here's my question. It leads me to a main question for Levels.
Yep.
Okay. I signed up with Levels and I've been tracking it. And since that last June,
Yep.
I started fasting and going on basically a keto thing, but we raise a garden and we're really blessed here because my wife loves gardening. It's on virgin soil down on the farm that she was raised close to Botno. And we have a good friend right here 2 miles away that has an organic ranch farm.
Yeah.
They produce, grass-fed, finished organic beef, pork, turkeys, chicken, eggs, and his son we can buy raw milk over,
Hmm.
over there, make kefir and all of it. So,
Hmm.
and then south of Minot, that's a ways, it's about 95 miles. There's a place called Guardian Grains that does raise organic wheat, rye, a bunch of stuff,
Hmm.
and like emmer wheat and einkorn wheat, or it's not even wheat, it's just emmer and einkorn grass, right? But so we have all the good in, and so I started that. I said, okay, no more ultra processed, real food. I can get it all here.
Yeah.
Super healthy, low carb, and started fasting. I started a program where I worked my way into it from June through July, into getting it down to 1 meal a day. And I went on this in September. I went on I said, well, I'll do this because I keep hearing about extended 3-day fast. I'll give it a try. To me, it was plumb crazy because me not eating for 3 days, to me, was like, that's nuts. So
Yeah.
I did that 1 meal a day for 7 days and then a 3-day water fast. And after the first one, I said, that wasn't bad. In fact, I feel pretty, it's like I'm on drugs. I'm kind of, really. I mean,
Yeah.
so I said, well, that wasn't bad. So I did that for 4 weeks, 1 meal a day, 3-day fast, 1 meal a day for 7 days, for 40 days. I figure if Christ did it, I could do that, what the heck. So, and then and by the way, I was on metformin. They wanted to put me on statin drugs again. I was on 2 blood pressure medicines. I thought there was 1 or 2 others. Anyway, so because all this stuff was high in the blood test back in June, early June. So when I went back to see her 3 months later, June, July, August, and it was like September, for some reason, the end of September. So it was almost 4. I was sitting in there and I had lost quite a bit of weight over that, about 20 some pounds. And she came into the office and she was reading my blood test and she looked over, looked at me and she said, what the hell have you been doing, Jim?
Yeah.
I said, why? Everything's normal. Everything's perfect. In fact, it's not just normal. It's, what have you been doing? So I explained it to her.
Yeah.
And that's when I asked her for all these different tests.
Yeah.
And she said, I can't do it. And I said, this is driving me nuts. I don't understand.
Yeah.
She said, my hands are tied. It's hospital policy.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. So I said, well, it's sad because you're the closest one. So anyway, I got off all of it and
That's awesome.
joined Levels to, because I wanted to know a little more about my glucose levels,
Yeah.
which were down and no more metformin, nothing. And I got a continuous glucose monitor because I wanted to see what my reaction was to the types of food I have, because we also do a lot of fermented foods. And some of them that Linda does all that stuff, kefir, sourdough bread, kombucha, and she ferments everything, even beans, all of it, to get rid of lectins. So we've been into it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And it feels great. So back to the blood test thing, I did request through Levels. So this is something you might want to check on. I said, I'd like to do the blood test. And they said, okay, $199. I said, that's fine. But I don't have a LabCorp here. Right. And they said, that's okay. You can have somebody come to your, and I said, I'm out in the toonies, man. I'm really in the toonies. And this person, who was responding to it said, yeah, you're right. We can't get to you either way. And I said, that's okay. Never mind. I'm going on vacation and we're going to go through Phoenix. Why don't you just set me up in Phoenix at a LabCorp in Phoenix?
Yeah.
So I can, and pay the money, and I can do that while I'm down in Phoenix. And they said Levels can't do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird regulatory complications with this stuff. There is some, let's see, it's now February. We're actually pretty close. Right now, our blood panel is 5 metrics that are, I think, the ones that are like the basics. We are in progress. We're about to sign a deal with Quest Diagnostics to be able to do over 100 markers for probably half the cost of Function Health.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it'll probably be something like $250. So it's probably going to come out to something in that range. And you can go to any Quest location anywhere in the country. So
see that, yeah. So ultimately, that's what happened. I couldn't get that one from you guys because I wanted to know, that was the other test. Well, my doc here, can I at least you check my insulin level? Nope.
Yeah.
Can't do
They
it.
won't let you do it, which is
Oh,
silly. Yeah.
do you have any, do you have any functional medicine doctors near you? Because they tend to be more open to doing that, or maybe a naturopath.
Yeah, no, I did find a functional on, this is retroing back to the particle size. And they
Yep.
said, yeah, I can do it, because what the local doctor said, well, we can't do that, Jim, because I said, why? And they said, well, insurance won't cover it. And I said, I'll pay for it. Well,
Yeah, right.
it's really expensive. I said, I don't care. I need to know this stuff. I mean, it's like I'm going around
Yeah.
unarmed, it's not right.
Yeah.
And you, as my
Yeah.
doctor, should be interested in these results too, if I'm willing to pay for them.
Yeah.
Fast forwarding, I did find a functional doctor. Believe me, I've learned a lot about blood tests and everything.
Yeah.
Found a local functional doctor, and they did the particle size testing. And when she was drawing the blood, I said, well, doc, I should ask, just how expensive is this? I mean, is this going to cost me $1,000, or what is it going to cost me? And she said, oh yeah, sure, $60.
Yeah. Right.
And I thought, that sounds like they just lied to me,
Yeah.
And it just happened on the insulin. She said the same thing. Insurance won't cover it, and it's expensive.
Yep.
I said, doc, I just stopped
It's
at
like $15 for the insulin
your
test.
little
It's not very
lab
much.
here, and
Yeah.
it's nothing. So anyway, it's really disappointing, as far as I've lost a lot of confidence in the healthcare system.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, because like I've talked to a lot of doctors, as you can imagine, and they really want to do the right thing. But because of the way that things are coded, because of the way that insurance works in the United States, there are so many hurdles in the way of doctors doing the right thing that a lot of them get pretty disillusioned. And it's, you just get trapped.
I know I would. Well, what I wound up doing for the whole thing, I did pay the $500 for functional, and I just had it drawn. And when I went through Phoenix, that was, I just got online. That's why I'm saying to you guys, it'd be cool if you could do that. Just go online and go, okay, Minneapolis, Phoenix, wherever. Because we do travel quite a bit, but we are in the Toonie. So, and I'm interested to see the progression. The only test that cardiologist, when I went to see him, and it didn't turn out to be much, was he said, I'll let you have a CAC test. Oh, okay. So I did go down and get that. So, other than that, I've been, now you guys, I signed up so you could use the data from this, because if it could help anybody, that would be wonderful, but I've learned a lot about, well, food and you name it. Like I just tried some homemade kombucha that Linda just made to see what kind of a spike it gave me before I ate. Because she does it for quite a while, and it didn't.
That's awesome.
4-ounce glass. But going back to you guys, if I'd suggest anything, it says blood tests would be great if you can get that.
I think the current timeline is May, but I think we'll probably have something up before then.
That'd
And
be great.
what's going to be great is that, one, we'll be able to do it for a pretty reasonable price. The other is that we're going to be able to connect food logging and other things in the app with your blood results. So like one specific example is, let's say your ApoB is high. You can set a goal of, I want to lower my ApoB.
Yes.
And we'll show you what foods likely affect ApoB. And also, when you log food, we can show you, hey, in that meal that you had, these things probably make your score better. These things are probably going to make it worse. And here's how you can improve. Because there's a lot of, there's a lot of bad information. Like, I actually have a friend I was talking to him recently about this. Got some blood work done. His ApoB is high. And his immediate response is, I guess I need to stop eating eggs.
Right.
Like, we've known for at least 20 years that that's completely unrelated to cholesterol, but because that was the thing we all believed 20 years ago, it's still stuck in people's heads. But that sort of dietary cholesterol has very little impact, if anything, on ApoB. So just getting more up-to-date science on a lot of stuff. I don't know if you've checked out our blog, but we have a lot of really good content on there, especially the levels guides.
I should
pretty
get
deeply researched.
I should get out there more often, because mine was high ApoB on that levels piece was high, and a C-reactive protein. A few of those heart ones were out of range, and so I want to take action to get those in, and even to reverse whatever little calcium score I had, that 75, or unchanged, or actually have it go down. So that'd be great. I look forward to you guys doing that.
You know,
Yeah, that would be
much I
really cool
stayed
because
on and did a residency in radiology, and then stayed on at UCLA, where I spent decades working as a full professor. I'm still a full professor now at USC, another medical school across town. But I love both those institutions. They were great and really formative for me. And I basically for a while I was the establishment. I wrote hundreds of peer-reviewed papers. My lab, we did research. My lab received millions of dollars in grants from the federal government, from NIH, from pharmaceutical companies, and from device makers. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything. I'm part of the establishment. But what made me change was, like so many people in this area, I came down with suddenly out of the blue with 4 chronic diseases that were unexpected. But I went to my doctors, and they said, "Hey, no problem. We'll prescribe these medicines, and you know they will take care of not only your disease but your symptoms." And they said, you could do lifestyle, but it, really doesn't work. What you really need to do is do these drugs, and you're going to be on these drugs for the rest of your life. And they told me that the drugs would not only take care of the symptoms, but they would treat the underlying disease as well. Knowing enough about medicine and those chronic diseases, I knew it wasn't going to end well. And I had at the time 2 daughters who weren't even in elementary school yet. So out of self-interest, I began to dive deeply into your book and many other people, and looking at the research. And I began to understand that what I'd been told was incorrect, and what I had been teaching, there were some errors in it, and what some of my colleagues are still teaching, there are errors in, and that inspired me to write this book, which is Lies I Taught in Medical School, where I try to explain those. And anyway, what happened with me was, I did a deep dive. I began to understand things that I didn't appreciate before about nutrition, sleep, diet, exercise, stress, and I made some major changes in my lifestyle. And long story short, I went back to my doctors, and they couldn't believe it. They thought the labs were in error. They wanted me to retreat my labs, but basically everything returned to normal. I was off the prescription medicines, and I've been doing fine ever since. But at that point, I sort of made it my mission to get the word out to as many people as possible, and like you're doing with your excellent work, try and spread that message, because it's people don't need to be sick with these things, and there's a lot that we can do.
You are responsible for your health. You're the one that's responsible for your health. So make yourself healthy again. Like, the whole thing around now is make America healthy again, but you have to make yourself healthy again. And I'm not just talking about physically, I'm talking about the whole package, emotionally, spiritually. In fact, I found you have to start with the spiritual side first and involve God in everything you do. Even when you're looking at these healthcare issues and faced with decisions,